Good afternoon, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. I'm going to make a video because I just feel like it. And what I'm going to show you is my McSweeney's collection. Now, maybe some of you don't know about McSweeney, but McSweeney, they are quarterly, and they publish journals. I think they published The Believer literary magazine, and today is August the 5th, 2023. It is a Saturday. There's 3:43 in the afternoon here in West Michigan. It is 80 degrees inside the Hermit Hut. So anyway, today is a Saturday, and I left the house this morning around, I don't know, 10:30 to go to Finnville. And I mentioned Finnville is called the Warehouse Used Bookstore. It's a warehouse, and they sell used books. It's just a warehouse. It's not like a normal used bookstore. It's like a warehouse. And they have books, and it's pretty dark, and it's damp, but I go there because it's only about 15-20 minutes from where we live, south of us, and they're open on Saturdays only from 9 to 1. So I just hop down there just to check it out. So I try to go by every couple of weeks just to see. You never know what you're going to find. So the point of this video is McSweeney's, and when I found a McSweeney's, and it's the Better of McSweeney's, Volume 1, Issues 1 through 10. McSweeney's is, I think it started in 1998 from San Francisco, and they publish books. They publish. Now the point is that over the years I've been aware of McSweeney's. So we have a local downtown bookstore called Reader's World, and they sell it's a quarterly, and when they come out you can buy them, but they are very expensive. They cost $30 generally, or $25. They're pretty expensive, and I'll show you. But over the years, if I see them used, anything by McSweeney, I buy it if it's used. Now today I bought this. It was like $1. And when I saw it immediately, I picked it up. And if you want to know more about McSweeney's, just go online. They have a website. And they publish books, they have t-shirts, I'm not sure if they publish Believers magazine, which also I start collecting, but then the reason why I stopped collecting them, McSweeney's and the Believer, is that a lot of the writers I'm not familiar with, and some of the writers that contribute to McSweeney's are well known. And an example is in this thing. But before I go on, I'll show you the rest of my McSweeney's collection, for example. And I don't know how many issues there are, but this is issue number 9, McSweeney's. And sometimes they have a theme to them. I'm not sure what this one is. It says full to the bursting, full to bursting, full blood of us all. I'm not sure exactly what the theme of this is, but when you open it up, it has, well, this one has 3 Meditations on Death by William Boldman. That's probably why I have this one, because I collect William Boldman, and we'll go into William Boldman in a minute. So this is issue number 9, and then they're all different. this is issue number 15, McSweeney's, and this is in the book form, and just different writers like Seth Fried or Ronnie Doyle. I collect Ronnie Doyle. He's an Irish writer, but a lot of these writers I never heard of. So, but if I see these, I collect them. I have this one. This one's issue number 12. I think some of these came into the Book Nook when I was volunteering there. 12 new stories from 12 new writers, unpublished, unknown, or unbelievable. They tend to publish writers who are unknown, who are not publicly in the know. But they also publish writers that we might recognize their names. In this one, you have Ronnie Doyle again, which I collect. But a lot of these writers I've never heard of. And then this is another McSweeney. This is a more elaborate one. This is issue number 13, McSweeney's Quarterly Concern, an assorted sampler of North American comic drawings, strips, and illustrated stories by many of the most dignified and skilled practitioners of the cartooning art, printed over 250 lithographic plates and approximately 3,732 illustrated pictures. So some of these are very elaborate. Some come in boxes, and that's why some are very expensive, because they're like works of art. Like this one is a McSweeney's. This is issue number Vikings, Monks, Philosophers, and Whores, Old Forms Unearthed. This came out in 2009. This is issue 31. So, and this one is came out in 2011. I don't know what issue. Maybe it's issue 3. McSweeney's. I'm not sure what issue this is. It says 3, but I'm not sure. And so, yeah, in this one, anybody recognize any of the writers? Randy Doyle again, Dave Eggers, who founded McSweeney's. Dave Eggers, he was a champion of David Foster Wallace. He started this literary venture there in San Francisco. Nope, nothing. So, there's Adam Levine. I have a book by him downstairs. But most of the writers I've never heard of. So I just buy these used, these McSweeney's Quarterlies if I see them, or if they're an anthology. They also came out with this one, McSweeney's Mammoth Treasury of Thrilling Tales, edited by Michael Chabon. And so, yeah, on the back there's a story by Sherman Axel, who I collect, Glenn Davis Gold, who I have a book by, Stephen King, Rick Moody, one of my favorite writers, is in here, Jim Shepard, who I picked up today at the warehouse. I picked up his short stories, Jim Shepard, David Eggers, people like that, Nick Hornby, Laura King, Elmore Leonard, people like that. I found this one. I find these at thrift stores, the Book Nook. They also publish books besides the Quarterlies. And one of the books I bought from them is that I mentioned I was reading Stephen Dickens' novel Frog. This is published by McSweeney, and this is you see how it's a very like a work of art. This is by Stephen Dixon, a novel, McSweeney's books. This was published in 2002. Another thing I have by McSweeney's is that I mentioned to you that I had this video request to show the books closest to my heart, and I mentioned in one of those my recent videos the Dionysius and the Carthusian and St. John of the Cross and the English Puritans. But one of the questions he asked me is what is one of your most expensive books in your library? And I said, just off the cuff, I said, well, most of my books are used, and they're not really rare, they're not expensive, etc. But there is something that was published by McSweeney's that is rare and very expensive, and I bought it when it just come out, and I ordered it from McSweeney's in San Francisco, and I paid $100 for it, I think at the time. And I have it right here. And some of you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about William Boldman's Rising Up and Rising Down by William Boldman. This thing is worth at least $500, maybe more. Now you can buy an abridged one-volume edition, but this is the complete unabridged. It weighs a ton. I keep it in my main study. I have not read it. I've looked through it I don't know how many times. I can't get it out of the slipcover. It's very hard to get out. But I just want to show you. This was published by McSweeney. And Boldman approached all different kinds of publishers, but they would not do it. For one thing, who would buy it? And it was a very kind of, it's like the history of violence, something like that. And it's a massive undertaking, but David Eggers, who started McSweeney with some other people, back there I think in the late 90s, he published it. Now another book I have that I will show you, I got this 50% off, it's at a bookstore. And it's called The Art of McSweeney's. Because one of the things that you find in the quarterlies is the artwork, the illustration, the covers. They're very artistic, very, and in this book, it goes into the art of McSweeney's. But there's also in here the history of the publishing of Rising Up and Rising Down, and what a mammoth undertaking it was, because it had to be published, but then it had to be edited, it had to be proofread, and if you read, or if you look through Rising Up and Rising Down, it's a massive work. It took years and years that Boldman wrote it. And in here, you have a story of the whole process of working on this work. I think it took him a couple of years. The fact-checking, just the whole history of it is fascinating. And also, so if you want to read about the history of the publishing of Boldman's Rising Up and Rising Down, you can look at Art of McSweeney's, which was published in Chronicle books, San Francisco. Yeah, it's very interesting. It goes into history of McSweeney's. It has the books here, their covers. Some of these you probably recognize. I don't have all these. It goes up into number 29. Like I said, I only have very few of them. I have, like, number 13. But most of these I don't have. But if I see them used, if I see them in a used bookstore or a used book sale, or they used to come into the Book Nook, the library used bookstore. And today, as I said, I was at that warehouse and I saw this on a table. This is more like an anthology of McSweeney's from Volume 1 issues. They take the best from issues 1 through 10. Stories you have in here like Ian Fraser, David Foster Wallace, Zadie Smith, Jonathan Latham, Jim Shepard, Rebecca Curtis, George Sanders, Rick Moody, William T. Boldman, Glenn David Gold, people like that. And so it's like there is a volume 2 of this that I found when I was looking at Amazon today. It goes for like $10 maybe. I got this maybe a little cheaper used, but you don't know if it's in good condition. If you order it used, it might be underlined or you never beat up. But I found this today. So I just thought I'd show you my McSweeney's. They publish other books, but most of the writers that McSweeney publishes, I don't have any knowledge of. I don't know who they are. I've never read any of their writings. That's why I don't buy these new down at the downtown bookstore. And one thing else is, as you all know, I do read secular literature, but most of the time I read Christian literature. And if I do read, I tend to read writers that I know about, like Philip Roth or Saul Bellows, or somebody I've read. When I read a lot of nonfiction, East European history, art, and I like biographies. But if I see these used, these McSweeney Quarterlies, I picked them up. And over the years, I found a couple. Some are very rare because they were made like in a box, and the box disintegrated, or they become rare and they're very expensive and they're collector's items. So I was kind of pleased to find another McSweeney's for my collection. And this is a very interesting book, The Art of McSweeney's. It goes into the history of, see, here's that one about the box. I can find a box here. So, but the artwork is part of the whole thing. See, they have there's an issue of McSweeney's. That one's number 16. They're all kind of like, number 15. So, but they did publish Rising Up and Rising Down by Boldman. McSweeney's did, which I admire them for their courage to do that. So that is one of my most expensive books. I do have an expensive book. But when I bought it, not many people read Boldman. I have a Boldman collection. I've been reading him off and on for I don't know how many years. He has a new book out, coming out, I think. I've read about. He came out in August, I think, with 2 volumes of his artwork and photography. He also designs special editions of books that are art, that are like, they're like art, and so you have to spend a lot of money for them, which I don't have. I mean, like I said, I buy McSweeney used if I see it. So I just thought I'd show you my McSweeney collection, my Rising Up and Rising Down by Boldman. And yeah, today is a Saturday. I have been just hanging loose. So I hope you had a good reading week. And tell me if you're into McSweeney's, if you read The Believer magazine. I have some downstairs. Like I started collecting them many years ago, but then I realized I would never read them, and they're very expensive. And I tend, like I said, to read things I'm familiar with, writers that I am familiar with. And I tend to read non-fiction, and I tend to read a lot of Christian literature. And of course I write in my diary. Today I'm on page 674 for the year 2023. And yeah, so I hope you're having a good weekend. Do pray you're all doing well. And tell me if you know about McSweeney's. Have you read Stephen Dixon? Have you read Boldman? You know. So anyway, I'll sign off, and until next time, bye.